In a world ruled by deception, one man vows to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. You think you can hide from me? For Detective Marlowe, the hunt is personal. This city has no room for secrets. Why are you doing this? Because I know the truth, but as the walls close in, the hunter becomes the hunted. How far will I go to destroy myself? This January, truth has a price. The air in Marlowe's apartment was thick, with the pungent smell of cigarette smoke, unwashed clothes, and stale food. The once neatly organized living space had descended into chaos, a visual representation of his unraveling state of mind. Discarded coffee cups and takeout containers littered the room, while the centerpiece of the disarray was his dining table, now converted into an evidence board. Photos, red strings, and scrawled notes formed a web of conspiracy, each thread pulling Marlowe further into his obsession. Marlowe sat slouched in a worn armchair, cradling a glass of whiskey. His eyes, bloodshot from lack of sleep, darted back and forth between the disheveled evidence before him and the glowing embers of his cigarette. The phone on the table buzzed with incoming messages, but he ignored it. Family, friends, they didn't understand. They couldn't. A sharp knock at the door shattered the oppressive silence. Marlowe's head jerked up, his pulse quickening. It wasn't common for anyone to visit him unannounced, especially now. Suspicion prickled at his nerves as he reached for his gun, which lay just within reach on the coffee table. He hesitated, his fingers brushing the cold metal, before exhaling sharply and standing. He moved to the door, his movements sluggish but tense. When he opened it, his heart sank. Standing there was Emily, his younger sister, her arms crossed, and an expression that was equal parts worry and determination. "Emily," Marlowe said, his voice rough from disuse. "What are you doing here?" "What am I doing here?" she shot back, stepping past him into the apartment without waiting for an invitation. "I could ask you the same thing. What the hell is going on with you?" Her eyes swept over the mess, her nose wrinkling as she took in the scene. "Jesus, Marlowe. Have you even left this place in the last month?" "I'm working," he muttered, closing the door behind her. "You wouldn't understand. Try me." For a moment, Marlowe considered brushing her off, but the steely determination in her gaze gave him pause. He gestured to the chaotic evidence board. "This," he said, his voice tinged with bitterness. "This is what I'm doing. Exposing the truth. Cleaning up a mess no one else has the guts to touch." Emily approached the table, her brow furrowing as she examined the collage of the photographs and notes. Her face twisted into a grimace as realization dawned. "You're still on about this?" she asked incredulously. "Marlowe, this isn't a mission. It's an obsession, and it's tearing you apart." "It's not an obsession," Marlowe snapped, slamming his glass down on the table. "It's justice. Someone has to stand up for what's right." Emily's lips pressed into a thin line. "Justice?" she echoed. "Do you even hear yourself? You're not fighting for justice. You're fighting people. You're destroying lives. They're destroying society," Marlowe countered, his voice low and dangerous. "I'm just trying to stop it before it's too late." Emily stepped back, her expression a mixture of sadness and anger. She took a deep breath, as if preparing for something monumental. "And what about your family, Marlowe? What about me?" Marlowe frowned, confusion flashing across his face. "What are you talking about?" Emily hesitated, her hands trembling slightly as she clasped them together. I've kept quiet for years, hoping you'd come to your senses, but I can't stay silent anymore. Marlowe, I'm gay. The words hit him like a physical blow. For a moment, the room seemed to tilt, and the air grew unbearably heavy. He stared at her, his mind racing to process the revelation. No, he said, shaking his head. You're confused. This isn't you. Emily's jaw tightened, her voice trembling but resolute. It is me. It's always been me. And I'm done hiding it, especially from you. Marlowe staggered back, sinking into his chair. Why are you telling me this now? Because I can't watch you destroy yourself, Emily said, her voice cracking. And I can't watch you destroy others, like me. Marlowe's mind spiraled, a cacophony of thoughts and emotions clashing in his head. Memories of their childhood played in his mind. Emily laughing, defending him from bullies, being his steadfast supporter. How had he missed this? How could she have kept this from him? You should have told me, he muttered, his voice hollow. I could have helped you. Emily let out a bitter laugh, tears glistening in her eyes. Helped me? Like you're helping all those other people? No, Marlowe. I didn't tell you because I knew exactly how you'd react. And I was right. Her words cut deeper than he expected. He wanted to deny it, to refute her accusations. But a small voice in the back of his mind whispered that she was right. His hands trembled as he reached for his glass, downing the whiskey in one gulp. What do you want from me? He asked finally, his voice barely above a whisper. I want you to stop, Emily said, her tone pleading. Stop this crusade before it destroys you completely, before it destroys everyone around you. Marlowe shook his head, his eyes haunted. I can't. I'm too far in. Emily stared at him for a long moment before turning to leave. Then I can't help you, she said quietly. But I hope you figure it out before it's too late. After Emily left, Marlowe sat alone in the dimly lit apartment, her words echoing in his mind. He turned to the evidence board, his eyes scanning the faces and names. Each photo seemed to mock him now, their expressions accusing. Was he wrong? Had he been blind to the damage he'd caused? The shadows in the room seemed to grow darker as night fell. Marlowe poured himself another drink, his hands shaking as he raised the glass to his lips. The whiskey burned his throat, but it did little to dull the storm raging inside him. His phone buzzed again, and this time he glanced at the screen. It was a message from an unknown number. You're treading on dangerous ground, Marlowe. Stop before it's too late. He stared at the message, his heart pounding. The walls seemed to close in around him, the weight of his actions suffocating. But even as doubt gnawed at him, a part of him refused to back down. He couldn't stop now, not when he was so close. The evidence board fluttered in the breeze from the open window, the red strings twisting like veins. For the first time, Marlowe felt the full weight of his crusade and the emptiness it had left behind. In the distance, the faint sound of sirens pierced the silence, a haunting reminder that the world moved on, oblivious to his internal war. And for the first time, Marlowe wondered if he was fighting the wrong battle. Want to know what happens next? I won't spoil it for you here. You can dive into the full story in this amazing ebook. It's packed with twists, suspense, and a conclusion that will blow your mind. The full story is waiting for you. Just click the link pinned in the comments section and grab your copy. You'll be glad you did. So, what are you waiting for? Unlock the full adventure now. and let me know what you think of the ending. It's unforgettable, and that's where this episode ends. But trust me, the story is just getting started. In the next part, things take an unexpected turn, and secrets you never saw coming will be revealed. You don't want to miss it. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, so you're the first to catch the next episode. And if you're as hooked as I am, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Got any theories or guesses about what might happen next? Share them, I'd love to hear them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of The Gay Hunter. Until then, stay curious and stay tuned.